You know that feeling when someone's too good to be true? Yeah, I should have trusted that feeling. My name is Nathan Cooper. I'm 27 years old. I work as an accountant at a mid-sized firm in Chicago. I make decent money. Not rich, but comfortable. I drive a used Accord, rent a nice one-bedroom apartment, and I've got about 80,000 in savings that I've been building since college. I'm not the guy women fight over. I'm not the guy who turns heads at bars. I'm just regular. Average height, average build, the kind of face you'd forget in a crowd. So when Vanessa walked into my life, I thought I'd won the lottery. I was so wrong. This is the story of how I dated a professional gold digger who thought I was rich, how I discovered the truth, and how I got the most satisfying revenge without breaking a single law. It started 9 months ago at a Starbucks on a Tuesday morning. I was waiting for my coffee, scrolling through my phone, when this woman walked up to me and said, "Excuse me, I think you grabbed my drink by mistake." I looked down at the cup in my hand. It said Nathan in black marker. I'm Nathan," I said, confused. She laughed, this beautiful, melodic laugh, and covered her mouth. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I saw you pick up a coffee and just assumed I'm such a disaster before caffeine." I looked at her, really looked at her. She was stunning. Long, dark hair, perfect makeup, wearing this elegant cream coat that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She had this energy about her, like she belonged in a magazine ad for expensive perfume. "No worries," I said, smiling. "Happens to everyone." She introduced herself as Vanessa. We ended up talking for 20 minutes in that Starbucks. She was funny, charming, easy to talk to. She asked about my job, seemed genuinely interested when I explained what accountants actually do all day. When she asked for my number, I almost asked her to repeat herself. Women like her didn't ask for my number, but she did. Our first date was that Friday. She picked this upscale Italian place downtown, the kind with cloth napkins and waiters who describe each dish like it's a work of art. The bill came to $230. I tried not to wince as I handed over my credit card. "This place is amazing," Vanessa said, touching my hand across the table. "Thank you for bringing me here." I hadn't picked the restaurant, but I didn't correct her. Over the next 2 months, we fell into a pattern. Vanessa always wanted to go somewhere nice, trendy restaurants, upscale bars, the expensive theater downtown. I paid every time. She'd offer occasionally, reaching for her purse, but always seemed relieved when I waved her off. "You're so generous," she'd say, kissing my cheek. I told myself it was fine. This is what dating costs. This is what you do when you're with someone out of your league. You make it worth their while. But there were little things that bothered me. She talked about luxury brands constantly. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Prada. She'd point out expensive cars on the street. "That's a Tesla Model S," she'd say. "My ex drove one of those. Beautiful car, boring guy." She mentioned her ex a lot, actually. Always in the same way. He was successful, but... And then some criticism. No personality, no sense of adventure, no chemistry. I told myself I was different. I had personality. We had chemistry. My coworker Marcus was the first person to say something. We were at lunch, and I was telling him about Vanessa wanting to go to this new rooftop bar this weekend. "Dude," Marcus said, setting down his sandwich, "how much are you spending on this girl?" I shrugged. "I don't know. Normal amount?" "Nathan," Marcus said, "you're a good guy, but you're not rich, and this girl sounds expensive." "She's worth it," I said defensively. Marcus gave me this look, the kind of look your friend gives you when they know you're making a mistake, but also know you won't listen. "Just be careful, man. Make sure she likes you, not your wallet." I laughed it off. Marcus didn't understand. Vanessa wasn't like that.
A week later, Marcus called me on a Saturday afternoon. "Nathan, I need to tell you something, and you're gonna be pissed at me." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I saw Vanessa yesterday, downtown, outside the Ritz." "Okay." "She was getting out of a car, a really nice car, like a Bentley, with some older guy." My heart started pounding. "What?" "I'm not saying she's cheating. Maybe it was nothing, but I thought you should know." I hung up and immediately texted Vanessa. "Hey, what did you do yesterday?" She replied 20 minutes later. "Just ran errands, boring stuff. Miss you." I stared at that text for 10 minutes. That night, I drove to her apartment, a place I'd only been to twice because she always preferred coming to mine or meeting somewhere. She answered the door in yoga pants and a tank top, surprised to see me. "Nathan, what are you doing here?" "Who was the guy?" I blurted out. Her face changed. "Who guy?" "The guy with the Bentley outside the Ritz yesterday." She blinked, then laughed, but it sounded forced. "Oh my God, Nathan, that was my Uncle Richard." "Your uncle?" "Yes." She grabbed my hands, her eyes wide and sincere. "He's in town for business. He wanted to take me to lunch. It was so awkward. He kept asking about my love life and making weird comments. It was honestly uncomfortable." She looked upset now, almost tearful. "I didn't mention it because it wasn't a big deal. But if you don't trust me—" No, I said quickly, guilt flooding through me. "I'm sorry. I do trust you. Marcus just said something and I got in my head." She kissed me, pressing close. "I only want you, Nathan. You know that, right?" "I know," I said. But a tiny voice in my head whispered, "Do you?" 2 weeks later, Vanessa brought up moving in together. We were at my apartment, lying on my couch watching a movie, when she said, "I've been thinking about us." "Yeah?" I said, playing with her hair. "We're so good together. I feel like we're ready for the next step." My heart jumped. "Like moving in?" "Exactly. My lease is up in 2 months anyway. We could find a place together, something really nice, start building our future." Wow, that's big." "I know, but I love you, Nathan. I want to do this right. I want us to be real partners, financially, emotionally, all of it." That word stuck with me, financially. "What do you mean, financially?" I asked carefully. "You know, combine our finances, be transparent about our assets, plan our investments together. That's what couples do when they're serious." Something felt off. We'd been dating for 6 months. Was this normal? "I'd love to see your investment portfolio," she continued, smiling. "I bet you're really smart with money, being an accountant and all. We could strategize together." "Sure," I said slowly. "We can talk about that." That night, after she left, I sat alone in my apartment with a weird feeling in my gut. Why did she care so much about my finances? Why did every conversation eventually circle back to money, investments, or expensive things? I called Marcus. "She wants to move in," I told him. "Already? And she wants to combine finances and see my investment portfolio." Silence on the other end. "Marcus?" "Dude, she's asking way too many questions about your money. That's not normal, not this early." "Maybe she's just practical. Or maybe she's after something." I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. 2 nights later, everything changed. I left work early because I had a headache. I texted Vanessa that I was heading home, but she didn't respond. She'd mentioned having dinner with a friend. When I walked into my apartment, I heard her voice. She was on my balcony, phone pressed to her ear, pacing. I froze. "I know he's not that rich," she was saying, laughing, "but he works in finance. Accountants always have hidden money, and his credit score is perfect. I checked." My blood went cold. Once we're married, I can access everything, joint accounts, property, all of it. "No, he's way too nice. He'll never suspect anything. He looks at me like a goddess." My hands were shaking. "Just a few more months, maybe sooner if I can push the engagement. Then I'll be set. Yeah, better payout than David for sure, and definitely easier than James. That guy was paranoid." She laughed again. "Okay, I gotta go. Love you too. Bye." I stepped back into the hallway, my heart hammering in my chest. When Vanessa came back inside, I was sitting on the couch, pretending to check my phone. "Nathan, you scared me. I thought you'd be later." "Headache," I said, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. "Who were you talking to?" "My friend Sarah, just catching up." She kissed the top of my head and sat next to me, totally casual. I wanted to scream, to confront her, to throw her out. But something stopped me. If I confronted her now, she'd just deny everything, make me seem crazy, disappear. No, I needed proof. I needed to know exactly who she was.
The next morning, I called in sick to work and started digging. First, I contacted my friend Eric, who works in IT and knows his way around databases. I need you to run a background check, I told him. Can you do that? Depends. What's going on? I think my girlfriend is scamming me. Eric was quiet for a moment. Send me her info. I gave him everything. Full name, birthday, previous addresses she'd mentioned. 3 hours later, Eric called me back. Nathan, sit down. I sat. Her real name is Tessa Vaughn, not Vanessa Bennett. My stomach dropped. She's got a record, nothing criminal but civil suits. 3 separate guys filed for restraining orders or sued her for fraud over the past 4 years. And get this, she's been engaged 3 times. Each engagement lasted less than a year. Each time, she walked away with money. How? One guy co-signed loans she never repaid. Another gave her 20 grand to invest in a business that never existed. The third paid her off to avoid false harassment charges. I felt sick. There's more, Eric continued. She's got dating profiles on 4 different sites, all targeting men who work in finance, tech, or law, high-income professions. Her profile says she's a luxury lifestyle consultant, whatever that means. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, man, but you needed to know. After I hung up, I sat on my floor for an hour staring at the wall. The woman I loved didn't exist. Vanessa was a character, a performance, and I was her current Mark. But here's the thing that made it almost funny in a dark way. I wasn't even rich. I had a decent job and some savings, but nothing compared to what she was probably expecting. She'd wasted months on the wrong target. That's when the anger kicked in. And that's when I decided she wasn't going to get away with this. I didn't confront Vanessa. Instead, I did something smarter. I played along. Over the next few weeks, I became the perfect Mark. I started talking about a big promotion at work that was almost definitely happening. I casually mentioned that I'd been investing in crypto and that my portfolio had doubled in the last year. I showed her fake screenshots of investment accounts I'd made using editing apps, balances showing $200,000, $300,000. I even invented a dead uncle who'd left me money in his will. It's in probate right now, I told her over dinner, but my lawyer says I should get about $500,000 within 6 months. Vanessa's eyes went wide. Nathan, that's incredible. I know. It's going to change everything. She started being extra sweet after that, more affectionate, more compliments. She brought up wedding venues online, talked about honeymoon destinations. I can't wait to spend our lives together, she'd say, kissing me. All I could think was, you're really good at this. But I had one more move to make. Using the information from Eric's background check, I tracked down Vanessa's 3 previous victims on social media. I sent each of them the same message. My name is Nathan. I think we've dated the same woman. I have proof of who she really is and what she's doing. If you want justice, message me back. All 3 responded within 24 hours. Their names were James, David, and Christopher. We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. James was a software engineer in his early 30s, quiet, serious. She told me her mom had cancer, needed $15,000 for treatment. I gave it to her immediately. 2 weeks later, she ghosted me. Found out later her mom didn't exist. David was a lawyer, mid-40s, divorced. She convinced me to co-sign a car loan, said her credit was bad because of a stalker ex who'd ruined her financially. I wanted to help. She drove off in a brand new BMW, and I never saw her again. I'm still paying off that loan. Christopher was the youngest, maybe 26. He looked embarrassed. She threatened me, he said quietly. Said she'd go to the police and file false harassment charges unless I paid her $20,000. She had fake text messages, fake evidence. I panicked and paid her. I couldn't risk my career. I told them everything I discovered. Showed them the dating profiles, the background check, the recordings of her phone conversations I'd secretly captured. We need to stop her, James said. We will, I replied, but we do this smart. No violence, nothing illegal. We expose her, get your money back if possible, and make sure she never does this again. How? David asked. I smiled. I'm going to propose.
2 weeks later, I proposed to Vanessa at the same upscale Italian restaurant where we'd had our first date. I brought a ring, nothing expensive, just enough to look real. When I got down on one knee, she started crying immediately. "Yes," she said, throwing her arms around me. "Yes, yes, yes!" The other diners applauded. It was perfect. That night, Vanessa immediately started planning the wedding. She wanted everything expensive: designer dress, luxury venue, honeymoon in Bora Bora. "I'll need to liquidate some investments to cover everything," I told her. "It's going to be amazing." "I can't wait," she said, kissing me. "Let's meet this weekend to discuss finances. Maybe that nice steakhouse downtown?" "Perfect," I said. I texted James, David, and Christopher. "It's happening. Saturday, 7 p.m. Be there." Saturday night. The steakhouse was dimly lit, expensive, private. I arrived early with Marcus, who'd insisted on being there for moral support. Vanessa walked in at exactly 7 p.m., looking stunning in a black dress. She kissed me, sat down, smiled. "So," she said, "let's talk about our future." "Let's," I agreed. That's when 3 men walked through the door and sat down at our table. Vanessa's face went white. "Vanessa," I said calmly, "I'd like you to meet some friends. This is James, David, and Christopher, but I think you already know them." What is this?" Her voice was shaking. "Actually," I continued, pulling out a folder, "your name isn't even Vanessa, is it? It's Tessa Vaughn." I slid the folder across the table. Inside, printed copies of her dating profiles, the background check, transcripts of her phone conversations. "These gentlemen have some things they'd like to discuss with you." James leaned forward. "You owe me $15,000, Tessa." David's jaw was tight. "You stuck me with a car loan. I've paid $18,000 so far." Christopher just stared at her. "You blackmailed me." Vanessa looked around the table, panicked. "This is insane. Nathan, what are you doing?" "What am I doing?" I laughed, a bitter sound. "I'm giving you a choice." "I know everything," I said. "I know you're a con artist. I know you're not my first victim. I know you've been playing me this whole time, thinking I was rich." She started crying. Real tears or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. "Nathan, please." "The funny part," I interrupted, "I'm not even rich, Tessa. I'm just a regular accountant with some savings. You wasted 9 months on the wrong target." She covered her face with her hands. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, my voice steady. "You're going to repay James, David, and Christopher. In installments if you have to, but you'll pay them back. We've documented everything: the fraud, the fake identities, the blackmail. If you refuse, we go to the police." "But if you do pay them back," Marcus added, "we leave you alone. No charges, no revenge. You get help, fix your life, and we never speak again." Vanessa looked up, mascara running down her face. She swallowed hard. "I grew up with nothing. I watched my mom work 3 jobs and still couldn't pay rent. I told myself I'd never be poor again. I didn't know how else to survive." "There are legal ways to make money," James said coldly. "I know that now." Her voice was small. "I'll pay you back, all of you, I promise." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the engagement ring. "We're done, Tessa. Get therapy. Get a real job. Stop hurting people." I set the ring on the table and stood up. "Come on, Marcus, let's go." As we walked out, I didn't look back.
3 months passed. I went to therapy. Turns out, getting manipulated by someone you love leaves some scars. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected while dating Vanessa, started going to the gym again, focused on work, and actually got that real promotion I'd lied about. Marcus checked in with James, David, and Christopher. Tessa was making payments, small amounts, but consistent. She'd gotten a job as a receptionist and was apparently seeing a therapist. Good for her, I guess. Not my problem anymore. One day, I was at a work conference when I met Lauren. She was a project manager at a tech company. Sharp, funny, wearing jeans and a blazer instead of designer clothes. We ended up sitting next to each other during a presentation, and she made a sarcastic comment under her breath that made me laugh out loud. "Sorry," she whispered, grinning. "I have no filter." "Don't apologize," I whispered back. That was the most honest thing I've heard all day. After the conference, we grabbed coffee. "So," she said, stirring her latte, "what do you do?" "I'm an accountant. I make decent money, but I'm definitely not rich. I drive a 5-year-old Honda. Just wanted to be upfront about that." She laughed, genuinely, openly. "Perfect. I'm a project manager. I have student loans, and I split an apartment with my college roommate. We're both aggressively average." "Thank God," I said. We talked for 2 hours about work stress, about our favorite terrible TV shows, about the trips we wanted to take someday if we ever saved enough money. It felt easy, real. No expensive restaurants, no designer bags, no questions about my investment portfolio. Just two normal people having coffee. A month later, Lauren and I were on our 5th date at a taco truck, sitting on a park bench, talking about nothing important. She had hot sauce on her chin. I pointed it out, she laughed and wiped it off with a napkin. "This is perfect," I said. "A taco truck? This, you, us. It's just real." She smiled. "Real is underrated." "Real is everything," I said, and I meant it. Vanessa, Tessa, whoever she was, she taught me something valuable. Someone who loves your wallet will never love you. But she also taught me to recognize real when I see it. I don't need luxury dates or someone out of my league. I just need someone who sees me, not my bank account, not my job title, just me. And I found her. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's building a better life without them. My name is Nathan Cooper, and I'm finally with someone who loves me for exactly who I am.